in the face of this. We ask all these things in the name of your son, Jesus.
Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to this republic
which
is
one nation,
one nation, under God,
and
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First time I've ever done the Pledge of Allegiance on Zoom, ladies and gentlemen. So hanging with me, we will start with the minutes of the March 24th, 2020 fiscal court meeting and the March 31st special called meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Please call the roll, Mr.
Master Putman.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Master Putman.
Here.
Master Moran.
Here.
Master Berry.
Here.
Master Southern.
Here.
Master McCollum.
Here.
And County Attorney Steve Gold.
Here.
After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve the March 24th minutes.
I'd make a motion to approve both minutes.
I second them.
We have to do them separately, Charlie. So there's a motion and a second for March 24th. Any
Okay.
additions, corrections?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 31st special called meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
any opposed? Thank you. We have with us Joe Hopper, who's representing the Henderson Employee Relief Fund. You've read a lot about this effort, and we wanted to bring Joe here to give us a briefing on both the structure, the mechanism for delivering aid to our citizens, answer any of the questions you have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, magistrates, and thanks for allowing us to appear before you, this august group. As you may be aware, some of you, about 14 days ago, with the contributions from the Men's Bourbon Society and the Community Foundation of Henderson, we established the Henderson, Kentucky Employee COVID-19 Relief Fund. The purpose of it was to establish an organization, a mechanism, if you will, in order to take the funds that we had originally raised to aid people in our community who were struggling as a result of the pandemic. We set up the fund to aid those Henderson County residents who, because of the pandemic and the impact that it had on their employers, had been displaced from their employment, either through being laid off or temporarily or terminated. In order to get the funds, the original funds, in the hands of those who needed it as quick as we could to fill a gap. The gap was always our mission, to fill the gap from which time they were unemployed or laid off until which time other funds became available to them, which we know based on our experience now, there's been some time and some disruptions in that process, albeit a good one. There have been disruptions. As we were looking at ways to get the best way to get the funds in the hands of those who need it the quickest, we looked around, and the mechanism we found was the Henderson Christian Community Outreach. We met with these folks, we challenged these folks, we made sure that they had the time and the mechanisms in place to accommodate and get these funds out, because we wanted to get them out quickly. And in the same time we were talking to the community outreach, we also conferred with the Cook Foundation, who was a member of the Evansville Relief Fund, which had been established or was in the process of being established, and also the Wellborn Foundation, who was also a member of the Evansville Relief Fund, which was in the process of being established. and garnered some best practices from them, if you will, on how the structure we should set up as a steering committee in order to appropriate these funds to the Christian outreach, and also as a fundraising mechanism, because we recognized very quickly that the original monies that we had received from the Men's Bourbon Society of Henderson and the Community Foundation, while they were generous, they weren't going to go very far when we look around at the needs in our community. So we utilized the steering committee, and what we included, what we were encouraged to include on our membership was certainly contributors, corporate, and other, to those who understood governance and the necessity for that, not-for-profits, and some government, trying to band everybody together in the best process to do that. We have done that. And so we have, in the first day that we received applications, we established an application which is online, and thanks to the chamber, thanks to the city, and thanks to many other people, the first day we had 100 applicants, 70 online, and 30 people standing at the door to hand them in. Shortly thereafter, thanks to the generosity of the Preston Family Foundation and to Field and Main Bank, we were off to a start in raising money. We established an amount of $500,000, which we thought would obviously go further than what the original funds were. We're dead set on raising that. We have been, as you may have seen in the paper this morning, we have been awarded a grant from the Cook Foundation of $50,000, and expect to go back to them for more, because in the process of identifying employee needs in collaboration with the professional organization of women, we had already started a process of looking at the non-for-profit organizations within our community who are going to be challenged as a result of this pandemic, because they can't raise funds, because the events that they may use as their fundraisers on an annual basis have been canceled. Along with the layoffs, there goes contributions by employees, there goes contributions by companies. So the not-for-profits are going to be challenged. So the the Partnership of Women in Henderson has been gathering data on what they might do. So we have carved out some of the funds from the employee relief designated by some of our more charitable givers to also try to assist with the not-for-profit organization. In fact, we renamed the fund the Henderson Employee COVID-19 Relief and Not-for-Profit Organization Assistance Fund. So we got a couple of acronyms we use in place of those two long words. But we're off to a good start. As of yesterday, we had received, as of yesterday morning about this time, we had received 484 applications. Those requested funds were approximately $250,000. The application process is that they fill out their needs. The categories are utilities, rent/mortgage, or other. The overwhelming majority of the requests are evenly split between utilities and rent/mortgage. Those applications are made, they are vetted, they are verified in that they contact their employers or previous employers to ensure that this employee has been impacted, laid off, or terminated because of the impact the COVID-19 had on their employer. The request again is vetted. The checks are written by the Christian Community Outreach to the vendor, whether it's the utility or whether it's the mortgage holder or whether it's the renter, and then the other. Well, there's been very few of those. We leave it up to the expertise and the vetting process of the community outreach who have done a tremendous job for us and identifying the needs in that other category. So that is a short tutorial, if you will. We'd be glad to ask any questions. We need the help of county government. We need the help of city government. We don't need to tell you folks, you're in the people business, you're representing the people. There's lots of needs out there. It's in a very emotional time. Be surprised if you don't get calls, each of you, routinely. We know that we do. We know that we get people that drive up to our houses there's a need. People are scared to death, and rightfully so, right? Because of the uncertainty. So we need help. We have been blessed again by the Preston Foundation, the Cook Foundation, Field and Main Bank, and a number of very kind, and thank you, Charlie McCullum, who's indicated that he's going to be part of that on a call we had Friday. Very generous. You may have seen some of the names in the paper this morning. There's many more of individuals. None of the names would surprise you. You know who they are. But we're receiving checks from $100 to much larger checks. So we need help, and we think this, and you know well, it's not over, because in this gap that we're trying to fill, there's going to continue to be people laid off, and they have to start the process, and that process is taking longer. You know, we would tell you, and you probably heard the analogy, it's like a funnel. The more people and more requests that you put in that funnel, the slower it comes out the other end. And when you have this ramp up and these peaks of people being laid off, it slows the process down. It challenges the process, even though the state and federal, we believe, are doing a yeoman's job of working hard at it. So I'll shut up and answer any questions you may have. And thank you for the opportunity.
Have questions?
Foot traffic. Did the community outreach expand those hours where they're open like Monday through Friday? I mean, because not everybody can do it online.
Right. So what we did, great question, Butch, thank you. What we did is the community outreach set up a mailbox right outside their location on Green Street to where the applications can be dropped off. And the applications, to your point, not everybody can get them offline, but they're picked up in hard form. They can be picked up at Field and Main Bank at Old Orchard Branch on 2nd Street, and the city's driving window on Elm Street.
Just one more, and I'll put up for a minute. At the Salvation Army, I'm still the chairman over there, and we can only offer relief like days for food, rent, and stuff. But now we can really do that once a year. If it goes on and keeps going on, can the same people go back get some relief?
Great question. So what we did initially, we set up some parameters and gave them to the community outreach and asked them to stay within these parameters with a little bit of flexibility to Mary, if you know him, Mary Dunham. It's a few dollars here, $1, and in those parameters there was a max, and obviously there are people who make an application for a $200 utility bill. There are others who make an application for a $500 mortgage payment. So it's a great question that we've asked ourselves, Butch, because, okay, what if we gave old Butch $500 to pay his mortgage, and we only gave old Joe $200 to pay his utilities? Can Joe come back?
Right.
That's a question we haven't answered yet, but I expect you know how we're going to lean there, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Joe.
And let me make a thank you very much for what you do at the Salvation Army. We got a little report on that, and the fact that you're feeding twice as many people that you normally would is no surprise. And
yeah,
I would,
we're up to about 250, typically about 110, 115, and then we're doing about 250 a day. But thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Butch.
Yeah.
Any other questions of Joe? I know he's got to jump on a call here at 10 to try to raise even more money for the fund. So I'm gonna unless anybody has any more questions about the function, the oversight, Christian Community Outreach's role, I'm going to let him go, and we can have further discussion. Joe, thanks.
May I say one other thing, Judge? Is what Butch and any of you, if you have folks who you know who need some help, point them towards that application.
Will do.
Point them towards that application. We've encouraged even some of our folks who have given, who are employers, we've encouraged them, even though you're giving, be sure and encourage your employees to go make an application.
Well, Joel, it's a great thing that we're doing. It really is. People need help. Yeah.
There's a bunch of good people.
That's
There's a bunch of good people in this community, no question about it. So thank y'all. Peace, love, and Bobby Sherman. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. having consulted with the Finance Committee about this, and also having talked a little bit to Mayor Austin, if you are amenable to the county participating in this effort, I would suggest the sum of $100,000. The amount would be transferred from our general fund contingency line item over to the line item we already have for Christian community outreach. It would be the most efficient way to get this money in the hands of Christian community outreach, which is obviously directing this money. Excuse me, here we go. Which is already directing this money through the fund to the people who need it. You heard Joe mention about the effort to maybe help make nonprofits whole. That's a separate effort. Our money would go directly to people who need utility payments, rent or mortgage, and then the other that you heard about. That would be my suggestion. And again, getting it directly to Christian community outreach is a line item we already possess. We don't have to amend the budget. So with that, I'll entertain a discussion. We can afford this. We marshal our money pretty wisely. And we have it easily within our budget to do. So does anybody have his thoughts?
Well, Judge, this is good. I agree. It's a great thing to be participating in. People are hurting. We all know there's some delay in the stimulus money and the unemployment. So it looks like it's going in the right direction. People need it. I'm all good with that 100,000, and that we're taking that out of our contingency line item. You said, right?
Correct.
And that balance is still
Well over 100,000 even after we take out 100.
take it out. Yeah. Thank you, Judge.
Charles McCullum is the other member of the Finance Committee. Charles, any thoughts?
We are where we are because we've managed our money very well, and this is what government's for, is to help people whenever we need it. I'm just tickled that we're in the position we could do it. I would make a motion that we approve $100,000.
I would second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other thoughts or discussion?
No, Judge, just one thought. I think we are able to do it. I think we need to do it. People are in need, and I'm glad to vote for it. I think we definitely need to do this.
Tim, Beth?
I agree that we need to help. We need to help the people in our community. I wish we could do more, but I think that's where we're going to have to stay. There's a lot of people out there right now that's kind of like Joel said, that are scared to death, and hopefully this can ease some of those fears.
And to your point, Magistrate Southard, if we choose at some future date to contribute more, we always have that option, but it'll obviously be weighed against our budget situation and other factors. But we're not limited to this, just in case more, cash infusions are needed to help our community. Just so you know. Magistrate Moran, any thoughts?
No, we're fortunate to have a group like Christian Community Outreach to work with and to supply all the, to do that. That's an overwhelming task, and I'm glad that they're there to do that.
Thank you. And Matt Cullum, can I suggest a slight amendment to your motion that we donate the $100,000 to Christian Community Outreach to be used at the direction and under the umbrella of the Emergency Relief Fund?
Yes. That was my intentions.
Okay. So you have an amended motion, correct, Matt McCullum?
Yep.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of supporting that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Later in the meeting, we will be voting on the transfers and the claims that will make it possible for us to write that. So just heads up. Next on the agenda is a resolution in your packet approving application, our annual application for recreation trails grant from the state. We apply every year. This year, we're hoping to use any money that might be directed our way to complete the walking trail at Sandy Lee Watkins Park. Any questions? Bill Hubiak is with us if you'd like him to answer any questions. There he is.
No, I just want to thank you for applying.
Yeah. He said, thank you for applying, Bill. And the mute, we're going to take the mute off his computer there.
Are you sure about that?
It's still on, Brent. We apply for this every year. The state kind of rotates in granting counties this money. We've gone a couple years where we didn't make the cut. We're hoping this year we're back in the rotation. So that's why we apply every year. You never know what we might be able to get. Mr. Huback, anything you want to add to this?
This is, the application is for a half-mile recreational trails grant to finish the 5K loop at Sandy Lee Watkins Park. It will also include the portion of the trail where the KYTC bridge, the historic bridge that we're getting from Davis County, will cross back over Race Creek to finish that 5K loop.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Hubiak? With that, I'll have the clerk read the resolution, please.
Hang on a moment. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Whereas the County of Henderson proposes to develop recreational resources to provide for the health and well-being of the general public, and whereas the County of Henderson intends to make application to the Department of Local Government for assistance under the Recreational Trails Program, and whereas the Recreational Trails Program Fund is limited to a funding maximum of 80% of the proposed project costs, estimated at $92,960. Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Henderson hold and reserve 20% of the proposed project costs for the purpose of matching the Recreational Trails Program assistance, and be it further resolved that in the event a grant is awarded, the County of Henderson understands that it will assign assurances to comply with all applicable federal and state laws, rules, and regulations, especially Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act.
Need a motion approved.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I've got several checks to present today. First is payment for salary spike and retirement, $6,160.72. Dental and life insurance, $308.02, $86.98, and $17.51. Health insurance, $5,841 and $1,047.11. Aflac, $124.94. A flow through for a salary supplement from the city to an assistant county attorney, $458.33. Jail fees collected, $264.38, bringing today's total to $14,308.99, and the fiscal year total to date, $134,057.59.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Gold. Now, Brenda Ryder will come and explain the fund transfers we're going to need to do for the community outreach donation and monies we move into LGEA, and then we'll handle claims. Ryder.
I have a fund transfer request. This is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget, transferring to Christian Community Outreach $100,000 from contingent appropriations of the general fund. I also have 2 cash transfers, which is moving cash from one fund to another. The first from the general fund to the LGEA fund in the amount of $200,000. This is a budgeted transfer. The last one from the general fund to the LGEA fund in the amount of $2,297.05. This is to correct a March 2020 deposit error.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Claims, Mr.
Have claims from the general fund to Visa in the amount of $716.63. This is to come from the appropriation lines of custodial supplies, EMA supplies, and treasurer data processing. Another in the general fund to Visa in the amount of $2,582.50. This is to come from appropriation lines of judge training, judge office supplies, and fiscal court training. In the jail fund to Advanced Document Solutions in the amount of $1,495.67. This is to come from the appropriation line of data processing. To Lowe's in the amount of $2,388.35. This is to come from the appropriation lines of building repair maintenance, equipment repair maintenance, and cleaning supplies. Still from the road fund to Walmart in the amount of $937.90. The majority of this is to come from the equipment maintenance repair lines and cleaning supplies. In the jail fund, still to Wex Bank, which is the fuel credit card, in the amount of $731.49. This is to come from the appropriation line of prisoners transport. To U.S. Bank, which is the credit card for the detention center, in the amount of $4,173.21. The majority coming from the appropriation line of training, conferences, equipment repairs, maintenance, and data processing equipment. In the LGEA fund, to the Christian Community Outreach in the amount of $100,000 for the previously discussed. And in the grant fund, to Liberty Tire Recycling in the amount of $2,430. This is for 2 invoices for 2019-2020 waste tire grant.
Judge, I make a motion, we pay the claims.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions of Ms. Ryder? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed. We have, thank you, Ms. Ryder. We also have a request from Mr. Hubiak. Let's come back to the podium there and explain your request.
Yes, Judge, members, Fiscal Court, asking to be able to adjust line item fund transfers within the Road Department and the Parks Department to facilitate the hiring of our summer help on an earlier basis. Due to the COVID-19 situation, the jail is not mowing, and we are a month and a half behind in our mowing already, and Mother Nature is not slowing down the grass from growing. So I just would like to make a request where I can move some funding around within the budgets to facilitate that.
Mr. Hubiak, I think you have to make specific requests, Ryder. Can you, with the money you have in your current line, you begin, and then by the next fiscal court meeting, you know, have more detail about the transfer you need? I'm not sure Bill can hear me.
Let me turn it up.
I can't hear what he's asked.
Say it again.
No, you're going to transfer money. You're going to have to do it at the next fiscal court meeting. So you have enough money in those line items to start. And then if you need to add more to facilitate this, do it at the next fiscal court meeting by working with Ms. Ryder to detail the transfers.
Yeah, we're going to work out of the budgeted in our this fiscal year's budget. Normally, we bring the summer halt on when school finishes, but with right now not having the help from the jail mowing crews, which normally started last month, the grass is growing. Even though the parks are closed with the playground areas, the walking trails are still open, and the grass is getting beyond our capabilities with the people we have on staff at this time.
Do you have enough money in your line item now to start?
I have enough money within other line items in the road department to transfer over into parks to take care of this.
I'm going to have Ms. Ryder come up and tell us what needs to happen here.
I have enough.
Okay.
We will support that, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll do the official training.
Okay, so two things. We have enough money to start in the current line items without having to do any transfers right now because we're not prepared to. We have enough money to start the month. And by next fiscal court meeting, we'll have some other transfers in the road department line items to keep it going. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Bill will start. We don't need to vote on anything now. He's going to use existing line items, but we'll have to vote on those transfers to bump up those line items at the next fiscal court meeting. So I don't think you necessarily vote. Go ahead and start, and we will consult more at next fiscal court.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Bill, you understand?
Say that
Bill?
again, Charles.
Bill, do you understand?
Say again, Charlie.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, we're behind you, and we're going to help you, but we've got to do what Brad says.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to have Kenny Garrett, our Emergency Management Administrator, to give the court a briefing on what he has been doing with our first responder community and other organizations to help protect our community in the COVID crisis and prepare hopefully what lies around the corner. And I'll turn it over to Kenny.
Good morning. Thanks, Judge and court members. Just to give you a quick briefing on what we're doing, we're working closely with the hospital and health department in the event of a patient surge, because we just never know what's going to happen. We're kind of in a lull right now the last few days, so there's not really been a whole lot happening, but you know that can change, and we know that. So we're always working with them. We're also holding virtual briefings every morning, and we bring the command staff together, and we talk about current statuses and planning and things like that. The case that you know we need to be prepared, you know, moving forward. We're also continuing to organize and fill PPE requests so that when they have masks or gloves or anything like that that the fire departments and EMS workers and different ones need, we can get those distributed out to them. So that's a constant thing with us. And of course, right now we're in the middle of severe weather season that you know Bill kind of alluded to a minute ago. So we just never know what's going to happen. We're right in the middle of severe weather season, so just kind of keep an eye on the sky, and things will be happening. Any questions from anybody?
Keep up the good work, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you, Mr.
That's all I got.
He has been working hard, I guarantee you. And to throw in the middle of the pandemic, two tornadoes a couple weekends ago, as you well know. To add on to what he said, the decision to open up some areas at Sandy Watkins Park for the purpose of allowing people to bring tree debris from the storm has been very popular. People appreciate that, and we are quickly filling up the mulch. We're mulching many of this refuge, and we're going to be able to use that mulch in our parks going forward, so we won't have to buy those, and it'll save us some money. We'll have to be deciding later what to do with the rest of the tree debris. It's sizable, and one thing I noticed about this storm that I hadn't noticed in others, since I've been paying attention, is that the number of large trees that got knocked over is pretty remarkable. Really big, old, large trees, and their debris is large in size too. So the pile we have out at the park is quite large. We have to make some decisions about how to get rid of it, but that's discussion for another. Any of the magistrates would like to make a comment for the good of the county? I'll start with Magistrate Moran. Anything you'd like to say?
Speaking of that storm, I would like to thank Bill Hubiak and the road department for clearing trees and debris from the roads. It was terrible. I had a lot of phone calls about it, but he was right there, and his crew was, and he really helped District 2, and I'd like to thank him for that.
Excellent. Magistrate McCollum.
Well, I would like to thank Kenny and for all he's doing in our community. Henderson, the people of Henderson have just been outstanding. The numbers are staying low because we are socially distancing. Brad's done a great job. Our governor's done a great job. We just need to keep hanging in here and hope we can get around this thing.
Thank you. Magistrate Putman.
Thank you, Judge. Just a good day for Henderson County. I think in the event that we could donate to that relief fund for Henderson County, those people that are struggling to try to make ends meet. Again, hats off to Kenny Garrett and our road department for all they've done. The weather has been so kind to us. All going to change. The COVID-19, like Charles McCollum just said, people I think are respecting the distance, staying in. I know I am. I'm a little bit stir crazy. All in all, I think all is good in the fourth. Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Magistrate Putman. Magistrate Berry.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. I'd just like to thank everybody. Thank Kenny Garrett, and thank Mr. Hopper for all the work that he's put into this relief effort. Especially thank all the donors. I think this is a great thing. People need it, and I'm like Butch. I'm glad we can participate and help. It's just a great thing. Thank Bill, the road department, everybody, just the whole fiscal court. It's a good group. We work well together, and I appreciate that. We get more done by working together, and we'll get through this. So everybody hang in there, and I think we're good in the first district.
Thank you. Magistrate Scott.
I just like to say, being in the farming community, I'm out and about, and I've seen the general stores and stuff, and they're doing excellent about keeping people distanced, and they're trying to keep their doors open too. So I've kind of seen this firsthand hitting the small businesses. I think we're going to get through it. I think Henderson County's as a whole done a good job. I appreciate what Kenny's done. I appreciate the road department. It's challenging times for sure, and I'm available if anybody needs me. I've always got my phone on, so just call if you need any help, and I will do my best to find it for you. And all's good in third.
Thank you. And Mr. Gold.
Judge, thanks. I know this has been a challenge that has been unique that county government has not had to deal with in a long time, or perhaps ever. I'm really proud to be part of Henderson County government. I think we've done a good job. I've been amazed at how well the county departments have figured out a way to still deliver the government services that people need and still maintain safety for our employees. Figuring out telecommuting, things like that, that's been a really interesting challenge, and I think Henderson County has done that very well, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm especially proud of the employees of the county attorney's office. The constant flow of new orders coming from the state, and they seem to be changing on a pretty regular basis. That's been something that has created a lot of questions that pretty much every department of county government has had, from law enforcement to public-facing parts of county government. And that's been something that we've been very happy to be part of helping folks figure out. But it's been a lot of work on the staff, and I'm really proud of what they've been able to do in my office. It's been actually a fantastic team building thing because we're all absolutely rowing in the same direction for Henderson County, and I'm very proud of that. Working with criminal justice system, trying to make sure that still moves forward for public safety, and also working with the health department, dealing with quarantine issues and things like that. There have been a lot of things we've never had to deal with. And I'm just really proud of the way that our team has stepped up for that. And just on a personal note, I want to thank Brent and the support that he's given us as far as making sure that we're able to telecommute and make sure that we're able to be safe and still productive for the citizens. I think we all should remember not just those people on the front lines of healthcare, but also those folks working in groceries and restaurants, truckers, farmers, everybody in our supply chain, those that are manufacturing, that are making it where we are able to stay healthy while everybody is quarantining and healthy at home. So I think that's a really important thing to remember those folks. And I hope everybody had a good Easter. And I pray that we get through this well, because I know that we will. And I'm really proud of the way Henderson County government has stepped up during this. I'm proud to be part of it. And thank you, Judge Snyder. I think your leadership has been very good and very positive through this, and your communication and your dedication to making sure there's communication going out to the public, and that communication being positive, fact-based, and trying to keep people from being too afraid of the situation, but also fully informed. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gold, and I earn the compliment. Steve has been a technical advisor on the Facebook Live broadcast. Been my counsel and trying to answer questions on Facebook. Always good to have a Carver there behind me. I want to integrate all the to our first responder community care professionals, all the people who make our lives a little easier by going to work every day in the face of all this. We appreciate you. We know who you are. We're going to try our best to keep you safe. Well, I want to absolutely compliment the court for seeing the need to contribute to the emergency relief fund in a way that really makes a difference. This is extraordinary time. I think the court needed to do an extraordinary thing, and we've done it. And that money will be getting to people quickly. I also want to send our condolences to Magistrate McCollum. I think it's been our meeting since his mom passed away. We were thinking about you, Charlie. Normally we gather in support of you in this kind of situation, but COVID has changed lives in ways we never ever imagined. So we're sorry we weren't able to properly probably memorialize her, but you have our thoughts and our prayers, and just make sure you're thinking about them.
Thank you. Our community's been great. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and my family, and it's been really nice. So thank you for all of that.
I also want to thank the audience for watching, your patience as we perfect this very unusual in public meetings. Again, it's a new frontier. We'll get better at it. Hopefully it won't last all that long, but until we're given the meetings in person, we're going to do it this way. And if you have any feedback on how this went, ways to improve it, just let us know. We're trying to use our website and our Facebook page to push out information about the agenda, past minutes, the schedule of these. So keep an eye on those spots for information about how to watch what we do. Absolutely the public business, and we want the public to know what's going on. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn as we wish everybody out in Facebook Live land the very best. Stay safe. Do I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave. Take care.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.